Hello. So I had a dream last night about World of Tanks, and I'm going to tell you what it is. I had a dream that I was playing in the Kananen Jagdpanzer, and I was way up high on some sort of a cliff. The map looked like a canyon, and there were enemy vehicles going through the lower part of the valley in the canyon. And me and my allies were up on the cliff, and maybe there was another team on the opposite side of the canyon. I don't know. It was too far away for me to see. There were a bunch of tanks around me, and I remember having a little bit of a long reload, and I only had one shot, and that I had time to reposition. And the enemy vehicles were huge. They were like my little Kananen Jagdpanzer. I would say if you took a mouse and made it 10 times bigger, that's how big it was. And there were only a few of them. There were like three or four, or maybe two. And I remember the first one coming through the canyon, and I fired a shot at it, and I remember penetrating. And I remember that it took a long time for them to move. They moved relatively slowly. And in order to get the second shot, I had to reposition. I had to go to the other end of the canyon. And I was positioning along the red line and higher up. And my allies were incompetent. They didn't know what to do. They were just kind of sitting there doing nothing. And if the enemy made it through the canyon, there was a wide open space at the end of the canyon. And I was worried. I was really scared. I was like, these guys have really powerful guns. If they hit me, I'm done for. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Now, why is this relevant? Okay, first of all, I have had many dreams about World of Tanks that came true. I'm going to go through those first. I had this dream. These were posted in the forums. I don't always post them because people have really bad attitudes in the forums. So one of them that I posted in the forum, I said I had this dream where I was sitting on this little platform, and there was a track, and this tank would come around on a timely basis, and it was a Monopoly token, the car, and I only got one shot at it, and if I missed, I had to wait for it to come around again, and all the tanks were black. That was a dream about the black market. It was about how they came around at a specific time. You only got one shot. They were tokens, meaning, rare tanks. They were all black market. The other dream I had was about Mirny 13. This one I didn't post in the forums. I was on the cliff map on the south. The north was all dark. It was not visible. And I was going around the west, and all of a sudden there was this enemy tank that appeared right next to me. It was invisible. When I got really close to it, it appeared next to me. And it was really dumb. It was easy to kill. And I knew that there were more tanks out there. So that was what the Mirny 13 event was. I had a dream about that month of the Mirny 13. Again, didn't post that one in the forums because there's just so many negative attitudes in the forums. And I may have had other dreams that happened in the game. So the reason why this one is important is I make a lot of suggestions. I probably make 5 to 10 suggestions a month that show up in the forums. I made a suggestion about a month ago that is relevant to this dream. So last year, I said, let us play the rare tanks. Do something like a tank rental where we could play a rare tank like a T-22 medium or the Waffenträger. And in the forum post, it only mentions the T-22 medium. And I believe that through email, I sent them the one about the Waffenträger. And then they made it an event. They made it the boss, which was the last Waffenträger, they called it. After we did that, I said, okay, you did the Waffenträger E100. The next thing you should do is all the super heavy tanks. The Tortoise, the T95, Mouse, E100. Make them the enemy tanks. And we have weak tanks like Tier 8. And we have to figure out how to track them, how to stop them. And they're advancing across a field like Malinovka. Malinovka is a good example because there's a cliff. You can go up on the cliff and shoot from the cliff. That post is in the forum right now. And this dream reminds me of that. Except for the fact that in my dream, the enemy tanks were really huge. Like, I don't think they called it Big Bertha, but the Germans had these massive tanks with the big rail guns. That's this type of size they were. Massive, huge. The other post that I made, you've got the rare tanks like Kreslovsky, the KV-4, and the Alpha tank, and there are others. The Chieftain, you could argue, is one of the rare tanks. We might see some of them over here. The M60, the IS-5, the Kreslovsky KV-4. I said, why don't you do an event where we can either play these rare tanks or make them the enemy tank instead of having the T-55A and all the common tanks like the Rabbit. I don't remember what the Rabbit was. Maybe it was a Leopard. So make these the enemy tanks so we get the chance to play against them. And of course, the negative attitudes in the forum, someone says, why? And it's like, why? Duh, because I say right there, the rare tanks, so we can have a chance to at least play against them. That's the reason why. You get all these people with all these negative attitudes. And the funny part is you got all these negative attitudes, and they actually add my ideas to the game. One of the recent things that they're adding is my platoon feature, my platoon idea, where it automatically searches for a platoon that has the same tank as you, and they added also the same mastery level. And the tour of duty and the clan thing, was my idea. And they added it 6 days. They announced it 6 days after I asked them to do it. So they work really quick. Some of the other ideas that I had that were in the game were the mission marathons. They announced it like 3 weeks after I asked them to do it. The first one was do 50,000 EXP and you get an IS-6. I already had the IS-6. I didn't participate in it. Rental tanks were my idea. The 25 times zoom on the sniper mode was my idea. And there were lots of ideas. The frontline map with the zones were my idea. The game mechanics, that was all wargaming. But when they came out with grand battles, I said, this is nice and everything, but it's the wrong way to do large maps. They had to hire a company to do grand battles because their technology didn't scale to large maps with more tanks. And I told them this is the wrong way to do it. There's actually a post in the forum where I say don't do it this way. You should divide the map into zones so you are playing in your zone with like 15 versus 15, and when you leave your zone, it's like being in a new battle. You drop the map out and you load a new map in, and it's better for performance. You can make maps infinite size, infinite number of players. They added all the stuff about capturing zones and the assault defend and the objectives. They added all of that. So another thing that I posted recently, you'll notice that they announced that they're delaying Frontline for perhaps a couple of months. It's possibly because of a post I made in the forum. I made a post where I said, here's how you can improve the game. It has to do with reference objects. If you have 2 buildings, or let's say 2 trees, you don't have to have both trees loaded in the game if they're far apart. You only have to load one in and make the other one a reference, because the player can't see both at the same time. And when he drives to the other side of the screen, you just swap the objects, the reference with the actual one, and the player will see the real object. It swaps instantly, and it reduces memory usage, which means it runs on older computers or computers with less memory. It's possible they're going to add that upgrade to Frontline. You'll know that they do it if the houses are substantially different when the game comes back in. Or if there's more bushes and trees, then you'll know they did an object rework, which is based on that idea. It's a really good idea. Okay, so I just wanted to do this video about that dream that I had. Another example of an event idea that I had, I posted in the forum, I believe it was January 16, I don't remember what year it was. I said, why don't you do a TOG event where everybody gets a TOG rental and we all get to play at the same time, let's say 10 p.m. on Friday. And what they did is on April 1st that year, they did TOGs, where you play a game, you win the TOG rental, and everybody played TOGs all day. And then maybe a year later, Quickie Baby did something where he had like 12,000 codes where you could get a TOG, and they all played TOGs. So that was another example of an event that was my idea. And, there was another one, which people hate this one. And you can go in the forums and you can see this. It wasn't that long ago. The dog tags. They had dog tags and they got rid of them, and then all of a sudden they added them back. If you go a week or two before they added it, I have a post in the forum where I said, why don't you do something that's not about kills and about damage, but all the other things, I'll show you, such as trees cut, damage block, damage assisted, kills, victories. This is ace tanker badges, battles fought. I said, why don't you do something that has all of this other stats information? You go in the service record, look at the stats, and put all of that. But I wanted to do it as a hourly competition, where, let's say it's victories. Whoever gets the most victories over the course of an hour, if you tie, you get multiple winners. Or the same with damage assisted. And then about a week later, they did the dog tags, and they added all of the ideas that I had submitted about all the different things like average XP. All basically what I said. Take the stats from the service record and recognize us for that. Another example of something that I requested that was added in the game is the decals for the mastery badge and all that. You go in the forums, it would have been around, I don't know, August, September, October, where I said do something for mastery badges where you can track our progress on mastery badges. The current system isn't good enough. All it does is say like an M or something. Do something better. And I wanted to do it as a personal campaign where you get a certain mastery badge on every tank and you win something like a rental or something like that. Okay, so that's enough for this video. We'll see if they add my event idea. Based on my other dreams, they added the ideas quickly. So it might be something that they do soon. Remember that the last mission marathon last year was end of January, which was the Bourrasque, and they did the Dynasty Wars end of January. So perhaps they got something coming. Oh, you know what? There's another one. There was a gift box. It's gone now. Remember that there was a little gift over here and it said you could open it January 1st and it was a gift for your garage? It's gone now. There's a post that I made in the forums about a gift. Give us a gift that we can open later, like on a special occasion that has some sort of a prize, and the longer we wait until we open it, the bigger the prize is or something like that. That was to reward loyalty. It's like reward keeping people in the game. But the gift isn't here for some reason. They said that there would be a gift that we could open on New Year's, and it would be some sort of a garage enhancement. Okay, if you got any questions or comments, please post below.